Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Mitt Romney just sat down for a little heart-to-heart, and they were at the McCain Institute, I guess, in Sedona. I bet they've got great golfing. So here they are, and Mitt Romney, I love just how naive this dude is. Like, I love...
Oh my God, I know.
I love the naive Republican, which is, I would say, arguably better than like sort of the bloodthirsty Republican.
Yeah, there's like a mix, because like with guys like this too, yeah, it's naive, but how naive is it, right? Yeah. Like, because if you even have an inkling that there's something else actually going on here, maybe you can't really admit that, because then you become more complicit in it, right? And so
yes,
if you keep saying like, I just don't get these Republicans who really like this guy. If you say that, then you can be a part of it and kind of like stay above it all. But if you're like, wow, Republican Party's got some problems, then you are part of the problem, and you're there, and you must recognize the things that are going on.
Right. Of course. No, that's true. It's just what's happened?
Right. From the guy who like has that like dinner photo that looks like it was directed by David Lynch with Trump in the first year, where they're like, just like, oh my God, we're caught. What a silly man he is.
Oh my God. Yeah. Here he is again. Just, I don't know what to say, but it is fun to see. Like, I don't even like the phrase saying the quiet part out loud, because at this point, that's the elites know that no one's coming for them ever. And so there is no reason, just to be honest. But here they are at the McCain Institute in Sedona, thinking that no one's going to film this and put out clips of this. Wow. But lo and behold, they did. And here they are talking about, why the PR is so bad, or why the Hasbara is so bad around this war.
Why has the PR been so awful? I know that's not your area of expertise, but you have to have some thoughts on that, which is, I mean, as you've said, why has Hamas disappeared in terms of public perception? An offer is on the table to have a ceasefire, and yet the world is screaming about Israel. It's like, why aren't they screaming about Hamas? Accept the ceasefire, bring home the hostages. Instead, it's all the other way around.
But this is cute, because it's just a few days before Hamas did
timing, man.
But also, like you said, like a complete rewriting of what has been the history of the last 7 months.
I mean, typically the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened?
Are they good?
Are they good? They're not good at it, and that's why. Like, your problem, Mitt, is that people aren't buying it. Because they're not good at it. Also, like, just, I don't know. Obviously, like, it's not the worst term for it, because that is accurate. But just like Mitt up there, be like, what's the PR problem here? If you have a PR problem with the war you're doing and the genocide you're doing, then look inward. Maybe look at what's actually going on, and maybe don't blame the PR, because if the PR isn't effective, that means there's something underneath that's the problem.
Yes, I can only imagine that, like, Cheney talking about, like, in 2006 or something, or 5, when shit was going off the rails in Iraq, like, what's the PR problem? Well, I'm pretty sure seeing a bunch of prisoners forcibly stacked on top of one another, naked, cold in a cell in Abu Ghraib, man, it didn't help us. We really thought that was the slogan, cold stacked prisoners. Hey, like, but it turns out that didn't sell. But it's very similar. You're right. Like, it's like the fact that they're even talking about PR is just the height of elitism.
Here, how have they and we been so ineffective at communicating the realities there? And
we're on an intravenous feed of information.
Okay, so this clip actually cuts out what Blinken first said, which was, and this is not verbatim, but he basically said, first, there are the realities on the ground and the incredible, I don't know how he references it, but like, he doesn't say atrocities, but like loss of life, the devastation there. So he first
a weaselly way to say atrocities, basically.
Right. He first does a hat tip to reality. And I apologize, I don't have the full clip, but he basically is like, well, you've got to look at it's bad.
Right, exactly.
It's bad.
Yeah.
So
you can't PR your way into. I mean, for some people you can, but you can't really PR your way into seeing all those, just the raw footage and going, "This is actually excellent."
Yeah.
And
And he should have just stopped it. Like,
Mhm.
it's bad, and we have to figure out how to stop this war and get a ceasefire. It's the reality, and people are seeing it. But he couldn't just leave it at that, because it's Mitt Romney and he wants something good, and that's like, saying it's bad is some lib shit. So he's got to give him this thing
with new impulses, inputs every millisecond.
This is the most technical way of talking about social media, but we are being fed intravenously through new technologies and impulses. What the fuck is this?
And of course, the way this is played out on social media has dominated the narrative. And you have a social media ecosystem environment in which context, history, facts get lost, and the emotion, the impact of images dominates.
I feel like, Cody, when I saw a child buried under rubble today, there was just context missing of like why that kid deserved to die. Like,
you need a 2-hour history lesson.
You do
to figure it out.
You really do. It's complicated, and I feel like it's a little anti-Semitic to ask questions. But look, if this were one photo. Like, if this were Abu Ghraib, if this were an instance, a slew of photos, oh shit, it's bad. It's not. It is 7 months of every single day, the worst thing you've ever heard, like Mad Libs in hell thing you've ever heard, put together just the worst string of atrocities that has happened in Gaza. The shit that only the Zaka group that manufactured all the lies about what happened October 7th, even them being like, the babies in ovens, like, what about the children playing foosball? That shit actually happened, and no babies were put in ovens on October 7th. So it's like, even their wildest propaganda dreams could not have come up with the things that have been happening.
And we can't discount that. But I think it also has a very, very, very challenging effect on the narrative.
Yeah, a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature.
Ooh, this is maybe the quiet part out loud. Here we go.
You need to do a parenthetical. Don't do a parenthetical. Just move on.
Small point. Blinkett's like, don't say it. No, just don't.
Don't say it out loud, Mitt.
We had plausible deniability. Why you gotta go say it? Come on.
That's the thing. There was like plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, they're like, you can disagree with it, but there's an argument there that like exists to counter this idea that like the government just doesn't like that the information is getting out on TikTok.
Yes.
Like that is, there's a world where that one isn't true. And they just think that like they need to control whatever. But don't say it out loud.
What's so funny though, Cody, is that even if this wasn't the totality, and I've heard it argued, I think very, aptly, like Jacob Silverman was on the show a few weeks ago, like it wasn't necessarily all about the Palestine coverage, but if that's the way the legislators who are voting for it, interpret it, then what does it matter what the actual, if it was about like data and privacy, which applies to every other platform as well, that is harvesting our data and whatnot, and gives foreign governments access to it, including our own government. I guess if this was how it was experienced by a lot of Republicans, then we know why it fucking passed, and that was because of too many images of those dead children.
If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts.
Broadcast. I love that. That's so adorable. That final little.
He's such a funny guy. Have you heard him talk about his favorite meat? It's hot dog.
Oh.
It's an amazing quote. Doesn't matter.
It's great. Yeah. No, there's a whole video to go along with that. Stick to the hot dogs, man.
It's just funny, like you're saying, like if even if it is a small part, the small part is what they're focusing on. It's what they're doing it for.
Yes.
Mitt brought it up for that reason. Why did you bring it up? If it's just this like little small part, like it's no surprise we're doing this. There are quotes from the co-sponsors of the bill saying it, like it's about like the minds of the youth being warped, and also social media is bad. There's so many problems with social media and the way algorithms push stuff to people. But when it's about just thousands and tens of thousands of kids dying and these horrific images, that's not the problem with social media.
Right.
But apparently it is too.
I mean, it's the same thing of like, it's like these body cams, you know? Why is the PR bad around, you know, police? Like, well, yeah, well, we're seeing, I mean, it's not stopping them. My good friend,
more and more. Yeah.
My good friend, Nato Green, who's been on the show a lot, has a great joke about that. He's like, if body cam, like, if filming people prevented people from doing evil things, like something like haven't you guys ever watched C-SPAN like that? Like it does not prevent people from doing terrible things just because they're being filmed. NATO, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that joke, but yeah, so that was, you know, it is, you know, to say there's also Sacha Baron Cohen who is like, this is anti-Semitic, stop the ticking talking. But it, like, Cody, you got this on this president that's losing with young voters for a myriad of reasons. And then he's also going to potentially sign this TikTok ban. He hasn't signed it yet, but he's apparently going to. I mean, it's just, what else? I don't know how else.
Schedule 3. That's what'll do it. It's so good luck, Joe. I don't know, man. It's so frustrating to see this happen. And to see like so many aspects of it are just really disgusting. I keep coming back to Biden saying that the death count was false, and privately regretting it, and then here we are, and he hasn't like said anything about it, and we're just
retraction.
Here. Doesn't matter. We're barreling forward.
Well, Paige just pinged us that the administration is their report on whether Israel has violated U.S. and international humanitarian law during the war in Gaza has now been delayed indefinitely. 3 Senate aides and a House aide told Politico. Fun, cool, good timing. Like, remember there was a moment a few weeks ago when I was like, ooh, 7 aid workers of the World Health Kitchen or World Central Kitchen were killed, deliberately targeted. Maybe this has gone too far.
It almost seemed that way. There was that day where it's like people who haven't been mad about this are mad now finally because they knew one of, you know, like there's that personal relationship that makes
he
it
cooked
real
at my
to them.
home.
Exactly. Which is a whole other disgusting element of this. But it really did seem like for a day, like maybe like the tide wouldn't have shifted, but it did seem like there was like a slight course correction. But
yeah, and that's funny because that's the Biden administration. That's a Democrat. Meanwhile, Republicans this week have issued a warning to the ICC that's like, if you come for Netanyahu, we're coming for you. You think what Kristi Noem did to her dog was fun, or was nothing? That's something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Threats.
Oh, yeah.
There was a threat. And they all, and like, again, each single senator is like top AIPAC recipient. Top Israeli lobby recipient. So again, shades of gray in hell.
It's very nuanced in hell.
It's very nuanced.
Didn't you hear?
Very nuanced.
Those it's interesting. The sort of protecting Netanyahu from charges is it's one of those things that like you can think, oh, there's a world where that really gums people up, right? Like gets the gears start locking, because for so long, one thing I've heard is, you know, this issue is horrible, and I hate Netanyahu. We hate him, but this needs to happen for this. But I hate Netanyahu, and he should resign. This sort of focus on like Netanyahu is the problem.
Isn't it funny? Those same people never ascribe the similar qualities of hating the leadership of a people. Never ascribe that to Hamas.
Interesting.
You know, that someone could be for the broader cause, but not believe in the current leadership of that cause. Funny how we don't ascribe that to.
I'm not going to think
Palestinians.
about that. I'm not going to think too much on that. I don't want to have a second thought.
I do think
from
it's
there.
incredible that Netanyahu has managed to turn Republicans into human shields. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.